And now we'll see a short demo of how we can use ApertureDB to store and access the information in the COCO dataset. COCO is a large-scale collection of 200,000 images that include annotations like pixel-level segmentation and object detection with bounding boxes for more than 1.5 million objects. Here we can see an example image where we have a person, a group of sheep, and a dog, all with their corresponding bounding boxes. Together with that, we have information at the pixel level of the different objects in the form of a segmentation mask, which is also accessible through Aperture Data Interface. The first thing I want to show you is how easy it is to search images on ApertureDB. The first step is creating a connection to the database. Once the connection is created, we can create an image handler. This handler is used to access all the images that are present on the database. When running a search, we can specify constraints that are used to filter out some of the images. Here we want to constrain the search to get images with certain size and a particular license. We can now go ahead and run the search, specifying the constraints as a parameter, and for now we will limit the results to just 3 for demonstration purposes. We go ahead and execute the search, and we can see the resulting top 3 images that match those specific constraints. The next step will be retrieving the bounding boxes information associated with each of those images. That is very simple. We just specify that as a parameter, and that will in turn translate into a query to the database that will find all the bounding boxes associated with those specific images. We can see those bounding boxes displayed here. In a similar fashion, we can also retrieve the segmentation information, which will mark the different pixels depending on the different objects that are part of the image. We can see the result here and how all the images have at the pixel level the different objects that are part of the image. You can also run pre-processing operation, which is very useful when running analytics on top of the images. All you have to do is specify operations, and you have many options. You can do a resize, for example, and a rotate operation on top of the images, and those will happen as we retrieve those images on the database. All we have to do is run the same search, but specify the constraints and the operations as part of the parameters, and those operations will be performed on the database side. Here we can see the result, how those images have been resized and rotated before being returned to the user. Another very useful functionality that ApertureDB provides is the ability to search for similar objects. In this particular case, we're going to query for one sample image in which we see people doing some sort of winter sports or skiing, and we can use the image handler to go and search for similar images. In this particular case, we specified that we want the top 10 most similar images. And internally, ApertureDB will use the fingerprints of all of the images to retrieve similar objects. After running the query, we see how we get very similar images to the one that we had at the beginning, where we see people skiing. If you want to see this or any other example, you can go to aperturedata.io and go to the demo trial section. Here you can select from a menu of different examples, and you will receive an email within 2 minutes with access information for your database instantiated in the cloud.